Hey y'all, my name is Lindsay and today we are going to be talking about my October TBR and basically all the spooky slash creepy slash thriller horror-ish books that I want to read this fall as well. I have been in one heck of a reading slump. I don't know what's going on. I didn't read anything in September except one book, and it was a Shakespeare book. It was a play, and that was for school. And in August, I just read like at the first week of August, and that was it. So I don't really know what's been going on with me lately. I think it's because I've read so much in the past year that honestly the slump was something that was coming, and I knew it was gonna come, and I just needed to let it happen and not read for a little bit. So I'm so sorry that on this channel that there has not been a ton of reading stuff happening the past 2-ish months, so I'm so sorry. I'm gonna try to get out of that slump. I'm gonna spend tonight reading, and yeah, I do have some required reading I have to do for class this week. I'm going to be mentioning the books that I'm currently reading, so you will see all of those. But let's go ahead and get started. If you notice that my bookshelves are bare, it's because I have like 100 million books right here. This is gonna be a long video probably. We've got all kinds of different books here. We got Stephen King books, we've got Victoria Schwab, we have basically a lot. We have a lot, so let's just get started. If I don't go through in-depth summaries or details of why I want to read these books, it's just because there's a lot and I don't really want to, this video to be an hour long. Here we go. The first book that I am dying to read is Vengeful by V.E. Schwab. This is the second book in the Villain series, and I actually just talked about this in the my top 5 books of the summer that I read, and I talked about Vicious in that, and I absolutely love this book. I love this book so much. Sorry, that was a really weird sound. I sincerely apologize if I hurt y'all's ears. That was the most annoying sound I think I've ever made in my life. I just absolutely loved that book, and I could not wait for this to come out, Vengeful. It just looks so good, and look at the cover. It's just so cute, like the little V, and that looks like a woman just standing there looking badass, and it just looks good. It looks good. We get to see Victor and Eli again, which they were in the first book, and they were just freaking awesome. And there's going to be more villains in this book. So there's going to be Magneto and Professor X, Superman and Lex Luthor. Sydney and Serena Clark, and Victor Vale and Eli Evers. So it's gonna be so much fun. I'm so excited to read this. This will probably be one of the very first ones that I read, so yeah, super pumped. The next book that I have, and by the same author, is This Savage Song. This is the first book in the, I think it's called the Monsters duology. I think that's what it's called. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. This is basically just about somebody who wants to be a monster and who's pretty ruthless, and then she meets somebody who is actually really, really sweet and basically the opposite of everything that she aspires to be. And that just sounds very interesting to me, so I really would love to read this. I've also got Our Dark Duet right there. I'm super pumped to read these. The next book I have is Before the Devil Breaks You by Libba Bray. So I read, where are they? The Diviners and Layer of Dreams this year. I need to read the third book. I just haven't gotten around to it. I started it actually, but I didn't get super far in it. I'm on page 24. I haven't really started it. I haven't gotten into it. I just kind of, tried to feel if I was into reading it at that moment in time, and I wasn't, so I just thought I'd save it for fall, and that's what I'm gonna do. But I'm so excited to read this. I loved the last one, Layer of Dreams. First one I was a little iffy on. Evie was so annoying. I just don't like her at all, but she wasn't as prominent in Layer of Dreams, and we got to see the other characters that I actually really enjoyed and got introduced to more characters that I really loved. So I'm hoping that I like this book a lot. So everybody says it's good, so I'm really excited. By the way, I vlog when I read, so y'all can see me reading these the next few months if you want to. So just subscribe to my channel, and then you can see when I upload a vlog about what I'm reading. And sometimes I don't read in the vlogs, Very rarely does that happen. The past few months it's been happening because I've been in a slump, but generally I read in all of my vlogs. The next one I have is the Drain Thieves by Maggie Stiefvater. I've also started this one, but like I start a lot of books, but like I don't consider them like started until like I'm really into them, like really into them. So I haven't gotten super into this one yet. I read The Raven Boys. I really liked it. I really wanted to know what happened next, but I don't know why. I just didn't pick it up like instantly. I do want to get into this though, continue on with the series because I really liked the series. So I need to continue. I am worried I forgot some things because I think I read The Raven Boys like in February of this year, so it's quite a long time ago, but hopefully I'll start to remember everything once I get more into the book. Now we're going to get into some Stephen King, which I love Stephen King. The first book I have here is It. This big book. I'm on page 328 right now, so I'm actually farther along than I thought I was in it. This is just a really large book that I'm kind of afraid of, but I really want to get into it more. It's so creepy. Like, I just find myself having to put it down often because it gets just to a part where, I just hit myself in the face, where it gets just a little too much for me and then I have to put it down for a little bit. So, but I want to really sit down and read this soon. I don't know if I'll finish it this fall, but I want to finish it before chapter 2 comes out. That is my goal. I'd love to finish it this fall. I'd love to finish it before the end of the year. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I'd absolutely love to do that. We'll see. This is a book that I really would like to read. The next book by Stephen King that I'd love to read is Salem's Lot. My mom actually got started with this book, so there's a bookmark in it, but I have not even read one word of this book, and I just really am looking forward to reading it. My mom said that so far she didn't see any witchcraft in it, which I figured it'd be about witchcraft. I don't love reading the little summaries on the back of the book or the synopsis. I like to go into books not really knowing what is going to happen or what to expect, so that's why you don't hear me giving these like crazy synopsis right now, because I really don't like reading the back of the book. Just a personal preference. If y'all like reading them, you know, that's totally cool, and I'm really sorry if I'm not giving you the synopsis that you want, but I really thought this was going to be a lot about witchcraft, but she's not that far along in it. But so far, she hasn't seen any witchcraft. She's like on page 75. So, like I said, that's not super far out of page, like there's over 600 pages in this, so yeah. The next book that I'm actually currently reading right now is Carrie by Stephen King. There's just this little dent right there in this that was actually there when I bought it, and I didn't notice it, which is crazy because I always notice these things. But yeah, I want to get a new copy because it's kind of like, I call it pocket books. I don't know if that's the right word, but they're hard to keep open and like they're kind of annoying. I would like to get a better copy. But this is basically an iconic book and an iconic movie. The original, not the other ones. The original is super iconic, and I'm so far really liking this book. I'm on page 75, and it's just really good so far. I'm really enjoying it. I'm enjoying Carrie, and I'm really fascinated with her mother, and it's obviously sad because she gets bullied, but it's still just, it's really good so far. Stephen King is a master at writing. His endings are always a little iffy, and I feel like a lot of people feel that way, so I'm nervous to find out how the ending of this is going to be, as well as basically all of the books that I want to read by him. But the journey getting there is great. Like, his writing is superb, his characters are great. I'm hoping the ending is good. We shall see. The next book by him is Mr. Mercedes. This is the first book in a trilogy, and I actually am not sure what this trilogy is called, to be completely honest with you. It's a detective type of thriller, and the detective is narrating the book, I'm pretty sure. And like I said, I don't read the back of books, so I don't know what this is about. All I do know is that a detective is narrating it, and it's just more like a crime novel. So I'm definitely interested in this, and I want to read the whole trilogy. I've been wanting to read this trilogy since it came out, and I was in high school when this came out, but I love the cover of this, like the umbrella with blood coming. I just think that's so cool. The next book I would like to read is Dr. Sleep, And this is the sequel to The Shining, which I read last year, and it was so good. I really like The Shining. I will say, like I said, endings are a little rough. I don't love his endings, but I do definitely want to know what happened to his son. I want to know if he became like his father, which I really hope he didn't become like his father. I'm hoping he stayed the really good little boy, that not little boy obviously, but he was a really good little boy in that book. So I hope he continues to be like that, and I want to see where his powers, where they went. I want to see if they've gotten stronger, if they've kind of faded. So I'm definitely interested in seeing what happened to him. So I'm super excited for this. Okay, that's all of Stephen King. A lot of him. The next book I would like to read is The Death of Mrs. Westaway by Ruth Ware. I have a ton of Ruth Ware books that I want to read, but I thought I would pick just one of hers. I do have all of her books down there, but I have not read one of her books. I do want to read one of her first ones before I read this, like The Woman in Cabin 10 or In a Dark, Dark Wood, but primary goal is to read this book, and I am obsessed with the cover of this book. Like, is it not just so pretty? I'm obsessed. But yeah, would love to read this. And people have really liked it. And people who even don't generally love Ruth Ware books, who always feel like there's something missing in her books, which I don't know what they're talking about yet, but I will, say that this book was her best one and that they felt like they were completely satisfied at the end. So that makes me want to read it even more. So I do hope that I get to this, and I hope that I love it. The next book that I would like to read is Pretty Girls by Karen Slaughter. This book, they say, is really, really graphic. Kind of like Sharp Objects. Sharp Objects was so graphic. If you have a weak stomach, I would not read that book. But they say the same about this, and some people will even say that it's more graphic than Sharp Objects, so that's a little disturbing because that was rough for me. I really, really, really had trouble getting through that at times. But yeah, I do want to read this. I think it'll be a really good book just by how what booktubers have said about it, what they've thought. So I do think this will be good. I do hope I can get through it. The next book I'd love to read is Not Film by Marissa Pessel, and I have heard nothing but good things about this book. Nothing but good things. I have not heard a bad review about this book, which makes me nervous because I'm always worried I'm going to be that one person who like doesn't like it, or I'm going to be like disappointed and have like overwhelming high expectations and then it not be as good as I thought it was going to be. So I'm a little nervous to read this, but I definitely want to. So we will get to it, but I'm so excited to read this one. The next book that I'd like to read this fall or this October is All the Missing Girls by Megan Miranda. I have heard really good things about this. This is a book that I don't feel has exploded necessarily like Not Film, but everybody that's read it seems to have enjoyed it. I do hope that this book is good. I'm glad it's not overhyped or anything because that way I don't have super high expectations for it. I am really excited to read this. I wonder how much we can do a drinking game of how much I've said I'm really excited to read this, or how I've said this is really, really good, or I really, really, really want to read this. Let's see what we can do. The next book that I'd like to read is You by Caroline Kepnes. I have read a few words in this book, or a few pages. I'm on page 46, so I actually have gotten farther along than I thought. It is so creepy. It's so creepy. I'm scared. I'm having a hard time getting through this. It's really creepy because it's like he's stalking the reader, because it's like the narrative here. So I'm just gonna read like a sentence. You smile and you're definitely not wearing a bra. You take the books out of the basket and put the basket on the floor and look at me like it wouldn't be remotely possible for me to criticize anything you ever did. Your nipples pop. You don't cover them. You notice the Twizzlers I keep by the register. You point. Hungry. Is that not the fucking creepiest thing you've ever heard in your entire life? Like, what? No. Oh my god. Like, that's just... that is so weird. But it's good. It is good. I do like it. I'm still gonna read it. I'm still interested. So this is also a book I'm currently reading that is a new book that I've picked up. It is called The Condor Killing by Peter Swanson, and this book I do have quite a bit of high expectations for because every single review gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. And so far, it's definitely creepy. I'm very freaked out by a lot of things that are happening. So it's basically about two people, a man named Ted who meets a woman named, I want to say her name is Lily. Yeah, Lily. So Ted had his wife cheat on him. He actually walked in on his wife having sex with another man in their bedroom. I think it was their contractor or something. I'm not entirely sure about that. He is really mad at her and said that she's basically a sociopath, that she faked a way she was or had a mask on with him, and that with each different person that she's in a relationship with, she's a different person with each one, and that she doesn't really have any emotional attachment to anything. She's not empathetic to things other than herself. It's good so far. And Lily is very interesting. He meets Lily, and she's had an interesting childhood, and she has done some things that are kind of really fucked up. Not kind of fucked up. They're really, really fucked up, the things that she's done. She's kind of like a female version of Michael Myers, but I don't think quite as crazy. Like, she's not a psychopath, I feel, because she has some sort of emotions with things, but not really. But she's not like Michael Myers bad. She just enjoys when she kills things, like animals, whatever. She enjoys it. So that's definitely... That's very off-putting and scary, but I really like it. The next book that I have here, I'm sorry, I've got 6 books left. The next book I have is The Unbecoming of Mara Dyer by Michelle Hodkin. I bought this book a year ago almost, I think, or maybe a little less than a year ago, and I said that I was going to wait until October to read this. So October is here, and I'm going to read it, and I'm so excited. And if I don't read it this month, I'll read it in the fall. I also read a lot of thrillers and horror stuff in the winter, so like fall and winter are my big months where I don't read anything but all of this. I'm so excited to read this. I think what I'm gonna do actually with that is put when winter comes, I'm gonna show y'all out of this pile of books what I read. And then whatever I haven't read, I'll carry on into winter. I doubt I'll read all of these, but we'll see. We'll see. The next book that I have that I'm also currently reading is Escaping from Houdini. This I've been waiting for forever. I love stalking Jack the Ripper, and I loved hunting Prince Dracula, and now this is Escaping from Houdini. And so far I love it. What page am I on? On page 147. I'm on page 147. It's really good so far. I'm loving it, and I cannot wait to see what happens. I absolutely love Audrey Rose. She's my favorite female character, like, ever, and I love Thomas Cresswell. And this is what YA relationships should be, everybody. If you haven't read this, please read it. It's really good. I love it personally. I have heard some booktubers not necessarily love this book, but I've not heard anybody say they hate it yet. So that's good. They just thought they liked it. It just wasn't as great. Like, they don't feel about it how I feel about it, basically. I love this book. So yeah. Another book I'm currently reading. I'm such a bad reader. Like, I have this habit of starting like 8 books at once, and it's a serious problem that I have, but I don't like just reading one book at a time. I like to have several books to choose from. So yeah, but I'm reading City of Ghosts by Victoria Schwab. So I like this book, and I'm pretty far along in it. It's a pretty quick read. I'm on page 100. So I like this book, but I've read Victoria Schwab books, and I just expect a lot. And this is a middle grade, so maybe, like, because I'm used to I have only read her adult books. So maybe that's why I feel like it's lacking a little bit, because it's middle grade, and like obviously like she can't write as intensely as she does in her adult fantasies, as she does for even her YA, which I haven't read a YA book from her yet, but even YA, she still can't write as intensely as adult, but she still writes pretty intense things from what I've heard other people say. This one is just a little lackluster for me, and I haven't really seen any action with her. And when I say her, I mean, oh, what's her name? Cass. I haven't seen a lot of action with her in Ghosts yet, and I'm just farther along in, like, I'm 100 pages in, and I haven't really seen her encounter bad ghosts. Actually, she just had an encounter with one. But it wasn't really a bad encounter, just sort of creepy. But I still am enjoying it. I'm not going to DNF it or anything. Like, it's not a bad book by any means. Her writing is impeccable as usual, and her concept is great. I just think that it's a little bit lackluster. That's all. The next book I'd like to read is A Monster Calls by Patrick Ness. I have heard great things about this book, and I actually was choosing between this book and another book in my large pile of books that I had at Barnes & Noble, and the Barnes & Noble sales associate convinced me to get this one out of like 8 other books that I had, because I get a lot of books. Like, I'll have like 30, and then I have to narrow it down by the time I go to check out because I can't buy 30 books. So yeah, but she convinced me to buy this, so I'm super excited. So I have high expectations for it, which is always scary, but I'm hoping I love it because a lot of people love this book. The next book I'd like to read, I have 2 more, is Sea Witch by Sarah Henning, and this is an Ursula retelling, or yeah, or perspective from Little Mermaid. And I'm excited for this. And I love the cover of this book. I'm just excited for this. That's all I'm going to say about this. It's Ursula from Little Mermaid. Enough said. I don't feel like I need to go into too much detail about that. The last book that I have on my TBR is 3 Dark Crowns by Condor Blake. I am so excited to read this. I'm so excited. I don't know why it's taking me so long to read this. I've had this book for years. Or not years. I've had this book for a year. And I have One Dark Throne, and I want to get the 3rd book as well, and the novella, but I thought you need to read this one first to see if you even like it, and then you can get more books from this series. So at least I have the 2nd book, but it's super dark, and I kind of went into the store a year ago, and I was just like, I really want a fantasy book, but I want it to be dark. And this is what the sales associate picked for me. So, and it happened to be a very, very popular YA series, so I'm excited for that, and I hope I really, really like it. That is all for this TBR, and this is just my spooky books. I still have other books that I want to read. I want to read City of Lost Souls, because I've completely abandoned my Shadowhunter Chronicles world. I want to read Heir of Fire, the 3rd book in Throne of Glass series, because the 7th book of that is coming out at the end of this month, but I will not be finishing that whole series by the end of this month. And I have Shadow and Bone that I want to read, and 6 of Crows. Oh, and a book that's coming out. The 2nd book in the Nevermore duology. Or not duology. The 2nd book in the Nevermore series. Or The Trials of Morrigan Crow. So, that's the series. This is Nevermore. And then we have a 2nd book coming out at the end of this month. I'm so excited. I think it's called Wonderkin? That might not be correct. It's probably not. I'm so sorry. I have all these books that I want to read too that I just didn't put in the spooky category. So, yeah. It's a little overwhelming, I know. That is it for this video. This has been 30 minutes of filming. I hope I can cut this down a little bit, but I hope you guys enjoyed. If you want to, I have a little picture thing right here of me, and you can click on it and subscribe if you want to. I will also have a video right here at the end where you can click on my last video that I uploaded, and then on this side there will be a video that YouTube picks for y'all if y'all want to watch that one of my videos. And please like this video if you want to. Comment down below some of the books you want to read this fall and this month in October. And yeah, and I also have all of my social media in the description bar, so if you want to follow me or add me on any of those things, please feel free to do that. And I will just see y'all in my next video. Bye! These aren't even all the books that I wanted to try to put in here. Oh, let's do this. Ah! Don't do this, don't do this. Please don't do this to me. Let's try to get some more on here. Okay. Oh my god, I'm shaking. Oh my god, there's like 8 other books over here. Holy fuck. I'm gonna drop all of these. Please don't bend my books. Please God, please God, please God, please God. Okay. Okay, that was it.